And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody's having a great night. Hopefully you all had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I want to jump on live really quick. I enjoyed watching AEW Dynamite tonight, and I just kind of want to share some quick thoughts on it, interact with you guys. I know it's been a little bit of a time since we've done it. Today was actually a very interesting day because I had been working on a video all day, completely different from a news video. It's going to be up tomorrow. It's a lot of my creative side was put into that video. So I'm actually pretty excited about getting that uploaded tomorrow. I was watching AEW Dynamite tonight, and honestly, I thought it was a really, really good show. So much so that I tweeted out that I actually thought it was AEW's best show of the year. And the reason for that is because of the continuity from what we saw the previous week. I feel like some of the things I have criticized AEW for have genuinely been answered. And because they've been answered, and because I'm starting to see that improvement, of course, I want to get more invested back into AEW because the things that I look for in my television viewing experience is starting to actually come to light. And honestly, I really thought AEW did a really good job this week following up from last week. I thought AEW did a phenomenal job of ending the show in a way that actually gets me excited for next week. Now, keep in mind, next week, AEW will be launching their new presentation, which obviously a lot of people are kind of nervous about. I think a lot of people are kind of scared to see that AEW is going a different route with their production and stuff. But I actually am very excited from everything that I've heard so far about AEW's presentation. There's some things I've seen, some things I've heard. And I just think it's going to take them to the next level, which is obviously important. And I think that's why AEW has done a lot more of a tentative job to get people, you know, to pay attention to the small details and the things that actually matter within the show. Hopefully you guys are all having a good day. I see you guys all in the chat. Rick Corrales, Justin Kennington, Swervo World, Vigetti, Nate TV. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. But yeah, honestly, I thought this was a good episode, and I'm excited to see that AEW has a renewed focus on the TNT Championship because, truthfully, the two things that I took away from tonight's episode was there's continuity with the Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, Hook, The Firm. I like that there is a focus on that, and that actually excites me. And then, of course, there is this renewed focus on the TNT Championship with the way the main event ended, which, by the way, if you guys saw the thumbnail of today's video or live stream, then you saw specifically Samoa Joe cutting Wardlow's hair. And honestly, that was a great way to end the show. Having Darby Allin run in and everything like that, I just felt like it was a really good thing. The TNT Championship throughout the entire year, it seemed like an afterthought, honestly. And it's so strange because with Wardlow and Samoa Joe holding that championship belt, I just didn't necessarily expect that to be the case. I definitely did not expect that to be the case. So it was just one of those things like where, in my opinion, getting Darby Allin back in the TNT Championship mix is a really good thing. But eventually you're going to need more people to get in the TNT Championship mix. And obviously I think Miro is somebody who could potentially return. Obviously Andrade. They definitely have the talent to go after the TNT Championship. And the only way that's going to work is by actually getting people involved and making it a priority. So the way they actually ended the show tonight made me a lot more optimistic about the future of that division and for that championship belt. And this was the first time they've actually done that all year. You got to remember, the TNT Championship was being passed around from Sammy Guevara to Scorpio Sky to Sammy Guevara, so now it actually seems like they have concrete plans for the championship belt. It seems like Tony Khan is actually focused on the storytelling and the continuity, which is the biggest thing I have ever really asked for. I asked for continuity. I ask, and I talked about it in a video the other day, but I basically, I want to watch wrestling and get excited for the following week. And if I can't get excited for the following week, that tells me there's an issue with the fundamental storytelling that you're doing on your show. And this is where I think Triple H has improved WWE so immensely. But at the same time, AEW kind of took a step back from that. And you'll never hear me ever talk about match quality and stuff like that because AEW always has banger matches, right? We're seeing that with the Elite. We're seeing that with Death Triangle. we're seeing these great wrestling matches. But for me personally, my own desires in wrestling is to watch good storytelling and get excited for the following week. And I feel like AEW did that last week. Now they're doing it again this week. And it looks like Rampage is going to be a very loaded show. So there is a lot of good things to be optimistic about going into 2023. And I think that's something that truly excites me. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Man, we're live. We did get a super chat from Justin Kennington. He says, what was your match of the year and your pay-per-view of the year? This is a fantastic question, Justin. Thank you for the $5 super chat. The match of the year, honestly, man, it's subjective, right? Everybody's going to have their own personal feelings and their own personal things that they like and dislike. And I think there's been so many incredible matches this year. But believe it or not, and this might anger some people, and I understand that it might anger some people, and that's totally cool. But one of the things that I really enjoyed watching this year, and trust me, this was a year filled with great matches, great storylines, great matches. And this might bother people, but I genuinely enjoyed Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns. And I know that might bother people, and I understand that it could be considered controversial, but I actually really enjoyed the storytelling that was done in that match. I enjoyed the build-up. I enjoyed the spots that were delivered in the match. I enjoyed the creativity in the match. And if I were to go back to WrestleMania, right, Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville was a very good match. And then when you look at AEW, they had some good stuff this year. So it's not that, and again, everybody has their own personal opinions on what matches they like and stuff like that. But I like to think of the matches that get me invested so much. Because I think, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, any one of those matches could be on that list. I think there was a lot of great matches this year. Impact Wrestling, they don't get a lot of credit, but like Impact Wrestling, Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey, like in an incredible match. And if you don't watch Impact Wrestling, this channel is going to be for you, because I'm going to be doing Impact Wrestling live reviews on this channel. Everybody knows I love Impact. But Impact Wrestling had a phenomenal match, probably the greatest match in the history of that company. And AEW obviously had some great stuff. If you're watching the Elite and Death Triangle every week, they've been doing some amazing stuff. So, Justin, it's really hard to answer what my favorite match of the year was, but I definitely have a few on hand that I think of immediately. And yeah, I understand that some people might not agree, but I do think to a certain extent it would not be fair if I did not say Logan Paul and Roman Reigns was on that list. I enjoy the War Games matches this year, so there's been a lot of cool stuff. There's been a lot of cool stuff that's happened in wrestling this year. It's really hard to narrow it down. One thing I would say is, as far as pay-per-view of the year goes, there was a lot of great pay-per-views this year. WWE, really, since Triple H took over, SummerSlam was great, but I think even Clash at the Castle was awesome. I think the Crown Jewel pay-per-view that they had was really good. I feel like they've done a really phenomenal job of building their pay-per-views. And, this year for AEW, believe it or not, I don't see any of their pay-per-views beating WWE. It's just my personal opinion. Now, if you remember last year around this time, I said All Out 2021 was the best pay-per-view ever that I've ever been to. Probably the best one that I've ever seen live. The storytelling, the build up to that pay-per-view was so incredible. So it is kind of interesting, but I would say this year WWE had the better pay-per-views. WWE had the better year, in my opinion. But of course, everybody's going to have their own opinion, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think everybody's just going to have their own preference. I am actually very excited to see what AEW does, because they're going to be in San Francisco for Revolution, and now it seems like they're getting back on track with their storytelling and their week-to-week television. ROH, right? It makes a big difference, but ROH not being a heavy focus on TV has definitely helped the product. I see AEW improving in a lot of ways, and Revolution is going to give people a run for their money. So thank you, Justin, for your super chat. I appreciate it. Shout out to Cameron Johnson for the $2 super chat. There was no comments with that one. But I do see in the chat that Cameron said WWE was good this year, AEW was all right. And I agree. You know what I mean? I think that's very fair. I think one of the big things that I've learned throughout time And again, it's just my opinion. Not everybody will agree. Some people will disagree. But I think Triple H really showed so much improvement in the WWE area at a time where AEW was kind of sinking a little bit, and it rejuvenated the whole WWE brand. It completely fixed things up and patched things up. And it's not perfect, but I think a lot of people started to realize, like, okay, when Vince McMahon was really bad, we would excuse a lot of things for AEW. And then when Triple H came into power and we saw WWE improve, a lot of people were like, well, hold on. Like, AEW has always been pretty good, but like they're starting to drop the ball in certain places. So for me personally, I just feel like WWE had a really, really good year. They had a better year than AEW. But that's not to take away anything from AEW. You know what I mean? Like AEW, like Forbidden Door, it had a very, very terrible build. They were plagued by injuries. Obviously, there was a lot of things that got into the way of AEW. That's just the reality. But for as good as the matches were, I look at overall quality to the build, the storytelling, the storylines going into it, the matches. I mean, there's a lot of variances. So AEW definitely had some good wrestling this year, but I don't think they delivered on the great storytelling that they did in 2021, if that makes sense. Which is why I'm super excited about what I've seen from AEW in the past few weeks, because I'm starting to see that 2021 version of AEW come out of the woodworks again, right? We're starting to see AEW do some of those fundamental things that made them really good to begin with. They kind of got away from it, and now they're doing it. And to me, it's exciting, right? To me, it's like, okay, now we're getting into the best part of wrestling, because when both companies are doing really good, it just makes wrestling that much better. That's kind of always been my belief. And I feel like AEW is not perfect, and tonight wasn't perfect by any means, but it was easily their best show all year. And the way that they ended it tells me, like, oh man, like now Darby Allin's back in the TNT Championship mix. I want to see what happens there. Oh, Wardlow got his hair cut off. Okay, this means Wardlow's coming back with a new look, maybe new presentation, the new and improved Wardlow. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to be like, but now AEW is doing things to get me excited for the following week, which, by the way, the next week, we know that there's going to be new presentation. There's going to be new production. There's going to be a lot of great things to expect from AEW. And then obviously, hopefully they deliver. But you can't get excited about changes when the television product isn't good. And I feel like these last few weeks from AEW have actually been really, really good. And a lot of that does come from the fact that ROH is not a big focus on television. There's continuity within the storylines. AEW is starting to understand how momentum works, right? We saw that with Big Bill and Hook, right? This is the stuff that people wanted. Like, on paper, you tell me, you know, Big Cass and Hook are going to have a storyline, and I would tell you, no, it's garbage. But what we have seen on television is getting me excited to see, for what's to come. And that was the biggest thing I've been wanting from AEW for a while. So now I'm even more excited to see what happens with Hook and Big Bill. I still think it's a stupid name, by the way, but I am intrigued to see what possibilities do arrive out of this. And that, to me, is just like a really, really cool thing for AEW to understand, hey, there's starting to become some momentum there. Got to get people happy. And they teased people, right? You know, Hook couldn't hit the move on him. He tried. Morrissey got out of it. It's going to be a really big pop. It's going to be a really big deal when Hook ends up hitting that what is it? The crossbone suplex or whatever, the T-bone suplex. I forgot what it was called, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, Cameron Johnson, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it, brother. Robin Plays Games hit a milestone on the channel. He's become a pro member for 20 months. Thank you, Robin. You're the best. I appreciate you. Robin says, I enjoyed the trios match between Elite and Death Triangle, and everything else was good except the tag match between TJ and versus Ruby. I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's at least there's continuity there, right? With Willow Nightingale, Ruby Soho, Ty Conti, Anna Jay. Like, I appreciate the fact that there's continuity there. It's not perfect by any means, but I think it's still solid, you know. It has some groundwork with obviously the storytelling department and stuff, and then obviously when it comes down to match quality, it's up to the wrestlers to improve that. But yeah, the trios match, one of the biggest things I actually complained about before, and I'm glad that this has kind of transpired, is how are they going to make these best out of 7 series? How are they going to make it interesting to the point where realistically, not every match is the same. And I feel like that's something that they've done a really, really good job of developing, right? So yeah, I like it though. I can't complain. Like I said, this was definitely one of their strongest episodes. And that is a good thing for AEW. And this is the way to get people back in. This is the way to get people back hooked into the product, because ideally, you know, and despite what the fickle fans will say, but, you know, I think if you're a fan of pro wrestling, if you're like me at least, you want to see every wrestling company do great stuff, and you want to see them get recognized for it. And like Impact has been having a strong year in terms of television, but they're not on the same level financially as AEW or WWE. So when you see those bigger companies who have way more financial success and they're not putting out a desirable product, it stinks, you know? And I think that's like the one good thing, like right now going into 2023, I do feel like both of these companies, hopefully, if it remains the way it's been lately, they will have a very strong 2023. And I have some really interesting predictions. We'll do that for a different live stream. But I have some very interesting predictions for WWE and AEW in 2023. And some of them are crazy. Some of them are, you know, ridiculous. But I think some of them are also realistic. Shout out to Robin Plays Games for hitting the huge milestone of being a member for 20 months. Guys, if you want to become a member, just go ahead and click join, or go ahead and shout out to Nightbot, because when I put this in the chat, Nightbot will actually give you the link, so you could click the link and become a member. A couple different tiers, all that good stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out if you guys want to support the channel. I want to do more live streams. More live streams will be returning to the channel, more review shows, pay-per-view, prediction shows. I want to bring more guests onto the channel and stuff like that. It's just really finding a good enough schedule that works, and, you know, everybody's able to come to it. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. Shout out to Man Yet Rodrigo. What's up, Manny? Thanks for being a big fan. I appreciate you. Just taking a look at the chat. Nate says the way AEW is booking this trio as best of 7 is great. Yeah, I agree. Definitely a surprise, because it's really hard to do so many matches with creativity and making them different and stuff. But so far, it seems to be working out pretty good in their favor. Alex says, yawn, Wardlow losing his hair. Overall, the show was only a C. Impact is amazing on Pluto TV. Impact is amazing on Access TV and the Ultimate Insider program. Not sponsored by Impact. I don't have any ties to Impact, but there are a lot of ways to watch Impact if you don't have the Access TV channel. So definitely check that out. I also do use the Impact Plus app. Impact has a lot of great stuff this year, though. Yeah. Axel says, thoughts on the Scripps gimmick? Well, we're talking about AEW tonight, but I do want to add my thoughts on this. Scripps is... I'm not feeling it. It's not his fault. There's just a disconnect there. I don't understand the purpose of it, but it is what it is. He's a great wrestler, though. He's definitely a good wrestler. Dude Pitchers, shout out to you. Thanks for the love from India. I appreciate you. Thoughts on Dominic getting arrested on Christmas Eve? I love it. I love it. They've been doing a really good job. I thought the Dominic Mysterio stuff has actually been really good. Denisha, I just put the link in the chat for you. My bad. I thought I posted the link earlier. Justin Kennington says, my match of the year, Sheamus versus Gunther at Clash of the Castle is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. Gunther and Sheamus has been... That was incredible, man. I actually want to see them run that back at WrestleMania. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that'd be really cool to see that happen. Because honestly, yeah, man, that match was a banger. That could be a match. Honestly, that was a classic. That I'm surprised I didn't say that right away, but yeah, that was... It doesn't get better than that. I mean, that match in general was just massively awesome. And yeah, shout out to Denisha Lane. Thanks for becoming a member. Appreciate you, Denisha. So yeah, if you guys want to become a member, definitely consider doing so. YouTube.com/AngoYT/join. There's 2 different tiers, tons of perks and emojis. We did add a couple emojis too, or emotes or whatever. Take my money. Cheers. I don't know. We're working on a whole bunch of stuff with that stuff. It's not that easy. I'll be honest with you guys. But I got to get better at designing some emotes. If you guys know somebody who knows how to design emotes, let me know. I'd be willing to talk some business with you. Adam says, when I said to you on the phone a month ago and they said they should add a stipulation with the best of 7, well, Tony Khan must have used mind readers for dummies because they made it good the last 3. I agree with you. I agree. Well, yeah, and the stipulations absolutely help the matches too. That's like one thing for sure. But just in general, the overall flow, the pace, the wrestling, and it's what I always say though. It's like, you can never have an issue. Well, not you, me personally. I never have an issue with AEW's wrestling matches, right? Like, they've always done a phenomenal job having great matches. I mean, even if you watch Raw or SmackDown or NXT lately, there's just certain matches that are really, really good. But it's almost expected, right? For me, at least. For me, I see some of these people and the rosters on all these companies. I kind of expect them to have big matches. The real thing is the storytelling and the logic behind those matches and the continuity, the things I'm constantly repeating about, those are the things that I typically look for. And then obviously we're starting to see more of that in AEW. So that's a good thing. Trevon states, or is it Trayvon states? Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Sorry. I feel like AEW should turn the Elite and CM Punk drama into a storyline, make a ton of money, man. Yeah, I think we're going to get the Elite versus FTR and CM Punk. That's my guess. There's no sources on that or like no insider info, but I just feel like if everything is true with the fight, right? The fight and everything was legitimate, why would you not, right? If you have the ability, what's best for business would be them having a trios championship match, right? And it gets CM Punk out of the title picture. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money to be made with that. I do think so. So if I was AEW, if I was CM Punk, if I was FTR, if I was the Elite, I think that could be the way to do it. That's the way I would like them to do it, at least. Put them all together in a feud, championship match, have the Elite lose. The promos would be insane. It's like what I said before, man, months ago. AEW wants to blur the lines of what's real and what's fake. And obviously, I've always kept the notion if it's legitimately real, it's a shame, it's embarrassing, it's disgusting that the company would even get that bad to the point where that would happen. But if it is legitimate, at the end of the day, business trumps everything else. People are tied to those contracts. They got to work. Make money while you can. It got the world to hate CM Punk. We know that the Elite get the big babyface reactions. There is money there. FTR is heels. CM Punk is a heel. There is money there. Absolutely. And keep in mind, like 7 months ago, 8 months ago, I don't know however long ago it was, but we were talking about how AEW planned a heel turn for CM Punk. So it could all work out in their favor, regardless if that whole thing was real or fake or whatever. I'm not even really questioning if it was real or fake, because at this point I really just genuinely don't care. But that's just kind of how I look at it. What's up, Darren? What's up, Byron? My match of the year is Gunther versus Sheamus, and my favorite pay-per-view of the year was Extreme Rules 2022. Yeah, I think that's very fair. Gunther and Sheamus was just really, really good, though. That was one of my favorites in a long, long time. That's going to go down as one of the all-time, not the all-time, but one of the all-time best matches. Gaming with TD Coco, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you for stopping by. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, guys, make sure you click that subscribe button. On this channel, I bring daily news and analysis. So I like to talk about wrestling news that's out there, give my opinions, analysis, breakdowns. The idea of this channel is really just to connect with wrestling fans and talk wrestling. And we kind of been slacking on the live content, I won't lie, but we'll definitely do more of that for sure. we'll definitely do more of that. So 2023 should be a really fun year, really exciting year. And yeah, that does excite me a lot, actually. I think WWE has been great in the last 6-7 months. So I think they'll be phenomenal in 2023. And after what I've been seeing from AEW these last few weeks, if they keep it up, they'll also be phenomenal. I think 2023 the year of 2023 is going to be the best year for pro wrestling. I think both companies will do really well. I think Impact has been doing great. So there's just a lot of potential for everybody. They just got to keep up the momentum for sure. So we did get some breaking news from ESPN's Mark Raimondi. He has reported that Dragon Lee has signed with the WWE. The report actually states that he signed the deal earlier this month and he will start in January. No word on his exact date, but he will start in the NXT brand. Now, if you guys don't know who Dragon Lee is somebody who has worked for New Japan Pro Wrestling, ROH, AAA, CMLL. This is actually really exciting because WWE is in a really interesting situation with your NXT brand and their globalization plan. And also what's really interesting is James Kimball, the WWE head of talent strategy and operations, also said in a statement to ESPN that this signing is reflective of WWE's renewed emphasis on globalizing our talent pipeline with Latin America positioned as a focal market. Now, keep in mind, in August, Dragon Lee also worked for AEW. I think it was Dynamite or Rampage. And he tag teamed with Rush and Andrade for the Trios tournament. But this is not shocking, right? And I think a lot of people looked at NXT and they saw what was happening with NXT and they saw, NXT was kind of getting further away from the indie stuff. I've been talking about it on this channel that essentially what's going to end up happening is WWE's kind of they're going to go back to the way that they were doing things with NXT before. They're going to bring in indie wrestlers. They're going to start bringing in former talent. There's been a lot of names rumored. So Dragon Lee coming to WWE is actually a really good move, I think. And then plus you got Santos Escobar, you got Dominic Mysterio, you got quite a few talented Latin American stars. Now you just keep adding more. You keep adding quality. NXT in 2023, I've been telling people, I'm like, guys, what you don't know about NXT is about to change because there's a lot of big things going to happen in NXT. Just got to stay patient. And this is one of the reasons why I cover wrestling on a daily basis. So I'm excited about it because now we're starting to see WWE make these moves that follow with it. And, this is one of the reasons why you guys got to subscribe to this channel because I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to do live streams. I'm going to do reviews. I'm going to do videos. I'm going to do everything to keep you updated, give you guys my opinions and my analysis, but I 1000% support the idea of Dragon Lee. I'm curious to see what they do with him in terms of presentation, but I think NXT is a great start. Not that he isn't above NXT, but obviously there's a lot of great opportunities there, and maybe put the NXT championship on him as well. Plus you have Elektra Lopez, who is definitely a good mouthpiece. So if they want to pair him up with somebody, they absolutely can do that as well. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Dragon Lee is in WWE, and I really just can't wait to see what they do there. So yeah, it should be really cool. So yeah, a lot of great things, man. Great episode of Dynamite tonight. We're going to call it a night, guys. Got some more content and stuff to do. Like I said, it was just going to be a relatively short stream. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you, everybody who became a member or left a super chat. I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys next time on The Ango Show.